Happy 2025, everybody. Today we're just going to be doing the reading survey. I thought it would be fun to answer the questions and just kind of see how my 2024 went. The first question is, how many books did you read? And I read 195 books. If I would have realized how many books I had read, like maybe in October, I could have shot for 200, but this year for sure. This year's my year. What was my most read genre? Definitely fantasy, like by far. However, I read a lot of horror last year too, and I found a lot of horror that I love, and I could see them being in closer competition this year. Question 3 is the longest and the shortest books that I read. I don't know if the shortest books is right because I don't think I ever logged Mapping the Interior by Stephen Graham Jones, and I think that book is like 80 pages. But what's on my Goodreads is The Salt Grows Heavy by Cassandra Khaw, and that technically shouldn't be my shortest book. It's 106 pages, but I also DNF'd it, so I didn't actually read it. So my final answer is Mapping the Interior. My longest book was the last Zodiac Academy book, Restless Stars, Book 9. It was 1,135 pages, and it was fine. It was a fine conclusion, I guess, but definitely not as great as like the middle few books. My favorite book published in 2024 was for sure The Eyes Are the Best Part by Monica Kim. I loved this book. I never shut up about this book. This is a perfect book to me. It's the perfect good for her story. It's really gross, and I loved it. A couple other books that I loved that came out in 2024 were Mirrored Heavens, which is the last book in Rebecca Roanhorse's trilogy, and then Fury of the Gods, which is the last book in the Bloodsworn trilogy by John Gwynne. Both fantastic conclusions to some fantasy trilogies that I absolutely adored this year. My favorite debut, I guess The Eyes Are the Best Part was a debut, so I would say this, but if I had to pick a different book, then I would probably say Someone You Can Build a Nest In by John Wiswell. This is about an eldritch horror coming out of the forest and accidentally falling in love with a human, and it's just such a sweet story. A book that lived up to the hype, I'm gonna say a full trilogy, and that's the Greenbone saga. It was so good. It is as good as everybody said it was. I laughed, I cried, I got to love these characters over basically a lifetime, and I think it's such a unique story, and I'm very excited to read more from Fonda Lee. I think that she has like a full-length book coming out this year, so super pumped for that. A book that didn't live up to the hype. I have a couple of these, and they may be controversial. I DNF'd The Secret History. I know, I might try that book again, but I just was not in the mood for unlikable characters, and every character that we meet, including the narrator, I hated, and I just could not take it. The Crimson Moth, or The Heartless Hunter, whatever you want to call it, by Kristen Segrelli. I was so bored. I could not handle that book. I will not be continuing in the series. I haven't heard great things about the second book. I thought Witch x Witch Hunter would be for me. I'd be super into it, but I was bored and I didn't really care about the characters, so it was kind of disappointing. The book that I feel the most accomplished for reading is probably The Three Body Problem by Cixin Liu. This was my first endeavor into what I would call hard sci-fi. It was very complex. The author is an engineer and a physicist, and that's super clear in his writing, and it took my whole brain power to understand what was happening and some of the science that was going on. I really enjoyed it though. Once I got into it, I was eating it up. I'm excited to continue the trilogy this year. My favorite character, and that's super easy. It's Orca from the Bloodsworn trilogy by John Gwynne. She is so cool. She's badass. Her nickname is the Skull Splitter, so I think it's pretty easy to see why she's my favorite. She's super cool, but also super kind of in touch with her emotions, and will do what it takes to get what she wants. And she was just by far the most fun I had with the character this year. For worst character, funnily enough, from the same series, and that's Guthvar. He made me so mad. He just, every time we were in his head, I was angry. Everything that he did, I just wanted to strangle him myself. I have not felt so viscerally angry at a character in a really long time, and I wouldn't even say that it was fun to hate him. I just hated him. Runner up for this though is probably Doug from Annie Bot. He was also super frustrating. Most shocking book or moment? I can't think of any time I was super shocked, to be honest. I think that Pretty Girls was pretty shocking, and then The Last House on Needless Street by Catriona Ward. I saw some of it coming, but not all of it. And The Last House on Needless Street by Catriona Ward, I saw some of it coming, but not all of it. And as far as thrillers go, I enjoyed it more than the average thriller for sure. I'm also not going to say why either of those were shocking to me because they would be spoilers. My favorite couple is probably Jude and Carden. I'm absolutely on the Cruel Prince bandwagon. I love them. I know it's just a subplot in the book, but their very toxic relationship, I was super into that. The best written, I read a lot of books that I would say were well written this year, but as far as the prose goes, I really enjoyed This Is How You Lose the Time War by Amal El-Motar and Max Gladstone. I haven't really read a whole lot of fantasy or sci-fi that is written in such a poetical way, and I really liked it. And I've heard that Amal El-Motar's new solo debut that's coming out, The River Has Roots, is also very lyrically written, and I am very interested to see if I will continue to like something like that. Next is my favorite book cover. I could not really think of a book cover that I was super enamored with last year. I am going to cheat a little bit and say the special editions that I got from the Moonlight book box of the Book of Azrael 1 and 2. I really love those covers. They're super good. Favorite adaptation, I'm assuming that's like either movie or TV show. The only adaptation that I saw last year was Night Bitch, and it was really bad. I hated the ending. They very much divested from the book and I think lost the plot with what the book is trying to say. So if I had to guess what I would enjoy of things that I've read or things that I want to read and what I think will be good TV is either the Three Body Problem show or I think it's called Silo, but the first book is Wool. I think that I'm going to really like those. They're also turning Murderbot into a TV show and I need that so quickly. I hope that they do a good job and that it doesn't get canceled or something because I'm so looking forward to that. Books that made me cry, I would say the two that made me cry the hardest was Jade Legacy by Fonda Lee and The Har by David Sodergren. I was crying not only at the end of those books but kind of throughout. So good. A book that made me laugh, I would probably have to say Murderbot made me laugh quite a bit. Just its inner monologue and general disgust for humanity was very funny, the way that it was so dry. My new favorite author, I would probably have to say, was S.A. Chakraborty. I had not read anything from her until last year and then read pretty much everything that she has out. I don't know what it is. I think it's the way that she can write a female main character that is both in touch with her emotions and super loving, but also a political maneuver, a general badass. I love that, and I cannot wait for Amina El-Sarafi #2. There's not even a title or a cover out. I really do hope that it comes out in 2025. My favorite audiobook that I listened to. This is kind of a cop-out answer because this is probably going to be a lot of people's audiobook favorite, but I thought Lights Out by Navessa Allen was super well done, super fun. I haven't really gotten a romance type of story that is dual narrated, and I really enjoyed it. I will be looking for more of those this year. I also listened to We Used to Live Here, and I really liked the audiobook for that. There were some noises and things that they added in. I have heard that I missed out on some pictures and diagrams, so I will probably be rereading that this year and doing a bit of a tandem situation. That's it for my reading survey. Thank you so much for joining me. If you made it this far, please leave me an eyeball emoji and I'll see you next time. Bye!